Hey everybody, this is Pete with Painting Pete. Today I am doing an English cottage by the seaside, and you can get this line drawing from artbyjennifer.store. She has tons and tons of great line drawings that you can use for your watercolors. If you're not sure where to start when painting and you can't just look at a photograph and figure out what needs to go on the paper in order to fill it in. This is what you would call a line and wash. I'm doing things different than most watercolor artists. I'm doing my lines at the end with the ink. Right now, this is just a pencil drawing, and I had transferred her line drawing to watercolor paper. This is 300-pound cold press paper. It's thick, but I got a cheap $7 light box from Temu, and her line drawings are dark enough that if you put them underneath quality watercolor paper, it'll show up. And I just used a pencil to lightly replicate her drawing here. And again, this is from artbyjennifer.store, S-T-O-R-E. I'm really impressed with her stuff. She has pets, she has lighthouses, she has cottages. Go check out her store. It's really great. Right here, I'm adding a sky. I'm using a little bit of cobalt blue, some alizarin crimson, and a lot of Payne's gray because I want kind of a stormy, gloomy cloud because the stucco on this cottage is going to be white, the white paper. I'm going to tone it down a little bit at the end because I don't want anything stark white. But right here, I'm using some paper towel scrunched up. This looks very amateur hour right now, but I assure you it will get better. I've only been painting watercolor for about 9 months, off and on. And right here, I'm soaking up some excess water. If you don't know how to do that, wring out your brush on a paper towel and then go back in and suck up some water. I've got the top of my art paper here taped with some Paul Rubens tape, which I find is pretty good. And I'm going in here and I'm doing the shadows on the roof line. And as you can see, I'm not doing such a great job. But the point is I'm learning, so you can learn along right with me. This is a white cottage, but I'm putting a little bit of shadow color over here. I'll darken this up a little bit later. And it's a loosely drawn pencil drawing. As you can see, I didn't draw all the shingles on it because you don't want to do that. Too much detail will make it look corny, in my opinion. But the sky is not going to be left that way, trust me. I'm just putting in some initial washes right here. If you're curious about the board I'm painting on, I went to Home Depot, and this is a countertop board that they market that you can set on your counter or top of a dishwasher area or whatever. It's already sealed and stained, and it's about 2.5 feet wide and 2 feet tall and about a half-inch thick. And I just prop it up on a couple of books. I love this thing because I can just wipe it clean every time. Now I'm just going in with some basic greens, some light green. I always paint from light to dark in watercolor. I'm more experienced in oil painting where you work from dark to light. But I'm just putting in some grass and some shrubbery here just to give the foreground something to look at, set the house back a little bit. And if you see me making a lot of errors in this, if you're a professional watercolorist, then I'm sure you'll comment below. But if you want to learn along with me and see the mistakes I make, you can follow along and see the disaster or see the masterpiece, however you want to look at it. I'm probably doing some bad things and have bad habits, but we can learn together. As you can see, I got too much water on there, so I'm just dabbing it up. A pro would not have done that probably, but I'm wetting my roof and I'm just going over to a certain angle so that I can fill in the color of the roof. And I'm going to make this roof kind of a rusty orange because I think it'll look really good against the sky. and this is just the first wash. After it dries, you'll hardly notice that I did anything on this thing after it dries, but I'll go back in. I let it dry for about 2 hours. The paper was not even damp when I came back to it. I'm just getting some general shapes and colors in right now. It's a lot of fun. And I'm going to let that color concentrate there on the corner because I want it to. And I'm going back in for the shadow of the slight overhang of the roof. It doesn't overhang much, but just a little bit of shadow color there. And then I'm going to dump some more Payne's gray and a little bit of blue into that angle of the roof because there's two slopes here on this roof. Yeah, the Art by Jennifer store, artbyjennifer.store, she's got little cottages, castles, houses that are out in the country, very unique ones. She's got some funny animal faces. She's got serious animals. She has all kinds of lighthouses, and you download these things. And what's really great about this is I paid less than $10 for a 26 pack of little cottages like this. So it'll be fun to fill them in. It's kind of like an adult coloring book, except with watercolor paint. And I like these because they're just relaxing. I just recently got out of the hospital with some heart problems, and I'm at home. And so I'm just going to try and paint 26 of these little cottages while I'm recuperating. And hopefully I will get better. And if you like lighthouses better than cottages, go check out her store. And this is not sponsored. I don't make any money. I just was really impressed with being able to get 26 line drawings already done for you for less than $10. You can't beat that. And I do have her permission, if anybody's curious. I do have her permission to sell this painting if anybody wants to buy it in my family or any of my friends want it. She said I'm allowed to sell it because I'm using my own artistic license with the painting and the coloring of it. And I have her permission to plug her store, but she is not sponsoring me at present time. But I'm helping her out because that's how impressed I am with her line drawings. There's not any throwaway or junk ones in there. I actually want to paint them all. So as you can see, I'm going in here very delicately filling in the window panes. I will put more detail in the window panes later after this dries. But right now, this is just a basic fill in. And then once it dries, I'll go back in and start adding a lot more detail. And remember, in watercolor, you can always go back in and add more paint later. So that's why I'm going so light. I don't want to have it deep dark gray and blue all over the place, and then I can't back my way out of it as easily. I'd rather do 4 or 5 attempts after it dries each time than try and get it all in one shot. If you try to get watercolor painting all in one shot, you're in the wrong genre. It's not as forgiving as oil. On oil paintings, I can scrape it off with a paint knife and redo a whole area. Watercolor is pretty much set in stone. And you have to have some patience to do it. And you definitely don't want to do what I'm doing here, which is touching 2 wet areas together. You should always try and paint an area that's isolated from a freshly wet one until it's thoroughly dry because it'll bleed. The only reason I did that side of that chimney is because it's just going to bleed down into that slope of the roof, so I don't care if it gets a little bit darker there. I do have some rhyme and reason to this madness. And as you can see, I'm adding a little bit more cadmium orange with sienna brown to make a more brown, orangey red roof. And I saw a professional watercolorists say use the biggest brush that you can use to do everything at once. And this guy I watch, he does not change his brush ever, but I use 4 different sizes in this painting. Maybe someday I'll be confident to use the big Neptune brush that holds a ton of water, but right now I'm pretty much amateur hour dabbling with watercolors. If you want to learn along with me, and I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe or give this a like. You may not want to like this till you see the end result. I'm hoping you'll like it, because right now it's kind of a mess, but I just wiped out that area there with what's called a scrubber brush that I got from Rosemary and Company. If you're not familiar with Rosemary and Company brushes, they're made in England. They're excellent brushes. All my oil color and acrylic brushes are made by Rosemary and Company. They don't lose hairs, and even though they're in England, you might think they take forever to get here. I usually place the order and I get them within 10 business days, which is not a really long wait. They're excellent brushes, and I found a watercolor scrubber brush. You dip it in water. It's very short hairs, and it kind of works like an eraser, and it's worked better before on other paintings than this did right here in the windowsill. But you can check that out too. And she doesn't sponsor me either. I'm just plugging what I've learned and where I go to get stuff. And again, I'm just moving green pigment around here. That's not supposed to look like a bush or anything right now. It's just a big mess. I'm adding some brown in here because I want to just muddy it up, basically. At the end, you'll see I'm going to add a bunch of wildflowers in here. My mom likes messy yards. She does not like cut grass. She likes wildflowers. I'm going to groove the paper here a little bit with this end of the brush because some of the watercolor will pool in the grooves of the paper, make individual blades and sticks and twigs and stuff as it dries. Give it a little bit of texture. If you want, you can throw some table salt on your painting too to give it some texture and character. Not a lot, just a little, a pinch. It'll kind of white out and flower the area if you're not familiar with that. Now we're going for the shadow of the overhang. Just a little bit. You can't really tell yet, but there are some steps coming off the front door there, and the camera was not recording when I thought it was, so there was some splattering of paint there, and then I'm filling in the mountains in the background here right now. So that's the only thing you missed. That's just more Payne's gray with some more blue mixed in. I missed about 8 minutes of painting there, but I will get better at this with practice. And it looks like I've left a lot of white spot on the roof. Those are chimneys. We're going to get them filled in. I didn't forget to put the sky there. Those are actual chimneys and some clay chimney pipes on top of the plaster chimney, so, and brick chimney. So I'll get that fixed here in a minute in case you're wondering why my sky looks like that. And this cottage is sitting by a giant lake, so we're going to do a different kind of blue for the lake on the right side of the house there. We're going to add a little fence, and we're going to finish it off with some wildflowers. I'm going to use gouache. If you're not familiar with what gouache is, it's I believe it's an acrylic paint, and I thin it out with water, and then just smack my paintbrush on another paintbrush, and it will flick a whole bunch of colorful white and pinkish flowers onto the lawn. This is mainly a painting I'm doing for my mother. She's in a home and she likes to have artwork on her walls. Now I'm going in with dark brown and putting in the framing of the windowsills. Almost the same color as the chimney pipes, the clay chimney pipes, terracotta color type thing. I've just browned them up a little bit for the windows here. I think we're going to paint the front door blue. I like blue. It's going to be an intense blue. That's okay. These are like railroad tie steps almost. Some sort of wood. And I'm just erasing the accident where I splattered paint all over my green field here. Right here, I'm doing a wash with just some dirty paint water, which is mostly blue and brown, to try to just muddy up the foreground here. Like a dirt path, a roadway that has a little path leading up to this cottage, overlooking the sea or the giant lake, whatever you want to call it. And here's where I'm going to start adding the water. There's a line of separation between the mountains in the background and this little water area. I'm going to blue that up a little bit later. Even though that side of the cottage is white plaster, I'm going to add a little bit of blue tint to it because I never want stark white paper in my paintings. Some people do it. I'm not going to. I want to tone it down just a little bit, but I don't want it to be mistaken for being a blue house or anything. Just a little bit. Kind of modeling it up here. Try and give it the appearance of texture and unevenness. Alright, everything dried, and I flecked some gouache red and white flowers on there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black Sharpie pen, and I started using the ruler, and then I didn't want it to be that accurate, so I kind of skip it around some, and I freehand some, and it's a little bit wiggly, but that's okay because I've seen so many artists say, don't use a ruler for your line and wash, do as straight as you can, but because I'm recuperating from the hospital on medication, I got a little bit of shake Timmy still, so I'm going to use it a little bit, but it makes it more artsy if you don't use a architectural line drawing from a ruler and pen. So I'll give up this ruler here in just a second. As you can see, I painted the door blue. I'm going to go ahead and outline my windows to make it stand out a little, give it a little bit of cast shadow with this black pen. As you can see, I'm kind of squiggly lining here. That's okay. Accenting my window frames. As you can see, it's not symmetrical. I think that's what makes it kind of quirky, kind of nice. draw that hard edge there on that side of the house and this corner right here. I'm going to outline my chimneys, but we're going to draw the door in and the door frame and that seam of the house right there, that angle. I'm going to draw a little doorknob and some vertical lines so you can know that it's a door that was made out of boards. There we go. And here I'm going to draw just a little basic post fence with some wire on it so that you can't run out in the back and fall into the sea. And that white area there, we're going to go back in and fill in. I'm going to do some repair work on this thing. And like I said, a lot of artists would do the line drawing first and then paint. I know the ink in my marker is it's fast, it's color fast. The water will not smear it, but I just tried it this way for the heck of it. Now I'm going to give the impression of some shingles. I'm skipping around. You don't want to draw all the shingles because that would look really too busy and cheesy. Emphasize my chimney stacks here a little bit. I think not using the ruler is a smart thing to do at this point. As you can see, I added some rough trees on the left. They were just sienna brown with a small brush and painted them in, and then I went in with a wash of bluish gray to give the impression of some leaves there. Then I'll accent this window here with the Sharpie pen. Got a 5-pack of these on Amazon for like $6, I think. So I got lots of pens. Draw a little window frame there. I just did a quick flick of the line there to show you that there's 2 slopes. A little more shingle details. I'm going to give a solid line here since my blue was kind of crooked. I was going to scratch some little images in there. But I think we're done, and I will put the finished photograph at the end. Thank you for watching. I will do a much better video next time. This is my very first video I've ever edited ever on an art channel. Thank you for watching. Blacken in some of that window. Maybe there's someone standing up there in that window. Now I'm doing the front window here, putting some details in there with the line drawing. If you've never used a marker before on your painting, I think you'll see by the end of this video, it really does improve things and help you with the depth, because watercolor, there's professionals out there that can really get great sharp angles, but I just like line and wash. I think it's a neat art form. But as you can see, I'm kind of drawing in some like side blocks of rocks or stone or something for the steps there. And I'm going to add some details and a little bit of lines and slopes to my mountains back there. As you can see, it's very slight difference between the purple mountains back there and the blue lake, but it's a stormy day. As you can see, there's kind of some cloud cover. Maybe there's some bad weather coming in. Putting a few black lines in the trees too to accent some of the brown branches. Nothing much, just a flick here and there. Finishing out the chimney stacks. I did another brown wash. The video wasn't recording, but I did another brown water and yellow wash into the main path there to kind of brighten it up. And doing a couple of flicks here and there. Nothing major, some branches and sticks. And as you can see, the fence over there on the right, Still has some issues, but I'm going to top off this slope of the roof there, kind of define it a little better. But we're going to fill that in too, add a couple more shingle lines. I think it needed a few. I'll use the ruler here to get the right slope for the shingle line. Just kind of coloring in a shadow a little bit there with the ink pen. Now I'm going back in with a light wash of more blue. Dirty water blue, has some brown in it, some alizarin crimson. Just going to paint in the stark whiteness of these plaster chimney stacks, just to tone them down a little bit, make it more consistent. That was an error, so I was quick with my towel. As you can see, kind of fixed it. That was not a wise move to do there. But right there is where I'm going to fill all that in so it's not stark white paper. That's the sea behind that fence. I'm going to go over that line one more time to kind of keep everything looking good there. I'm adding a little bit of tan wash to this wall at the bottom and around, because you know pollen and dirt are going to blow onto this white stucco house. It's not going to be pristine white. It's out in the country. Just dirtying it up a little bit. And having some fun. Soaking up a little bit extra paint. Going back in for a little bit more shadow. I want that darker so you can really see that there's a distinct two different angles on that house. So if you like the finished product, consider giving me a like. I intend to come back and do more of these paintings with y'all. And if you think this looks fun and easy, by all means go visit artbyjennifer.store. Thanks for watching.